welcome to this LDnet webinar. There's a whole series of LDnet webinars focusing on participative approaches. And this particular meeting today focuses on EU climate neutral cities, which we consider a serious challenge for European cities, and we want to discuss how this challenge can be met in a participative way. This meeting has been proposed and is being organized by one of our LDnet key experts and board members, Maria João. And before giving her the floor for the introduction, I would just like to say, feel free to intervene, to ask questions, to participate actively. We have a series of presentations, and after each presentation, and then also at the end, you will have a chance to ask questions, to make comments, and to exchange. You can do it either through the chat or by simply raising your hand and drawing the attention of the moderator, John, who will give you the floor. And between Joanna and me, we will be looking at the chat and monitoring the questions you might have. We're also recording this meeting, and we will publish all the presentations and all the material from the event on the LDnet website shortly after the event. Okay, so I think I mentioned everything that needs to be said at the stage, and I will pass the floor to Maria João.
Thank you, Ursula. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being with us to discuss about this important issue. So as Ursula said, I am also from the board of LDnet, I am also an expert from some programs that are related with cities like the EUI, so the European Urban Initiative, and the URBACT. For many years, and I am also the manager of SDSN Portugal, that is the United Nations Network for Sustainable Development Solutions Network. I am introducing this team because I selected this team and proposed to my colleagues to speak in this webinar about this team, because we know that nowadays, especially, sustainability is very important, but is being very much put under question by several people around the world. And what we know also is that the climate change is really one of the most important factors of sustainability, because many of the other things are depending on this climate change. And I can tell you that from a recent report from the G20, this is from last year, and they have found that, for instance, due to this 1.5 average temperature degrees being overpassed during 23 and 24, for instance, there were in the whole world 127 million people that were in hunger. So they were hungry and they had nothing to eat because their habitat was destroyed. The island states, they are losing their territory, and they are really with many problems around that. And for instance, there was an increase of 85% on deaths of people that are older than 60 years old. This is only to mention some of the effects of this climate change. So, and I am saying this because what they say is that when we overpass the 3 degrees, the average temperature, besides many catastrophic events like fires and floods and whatever that we are already seeing, even in economic terms, there will be a loss of 20% of the world GDP, meaning that when we don't invest, because this is very expensive, we will see what is more expensive. So, and why I'm saying this is because we know also that 70% of the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals depend on cities, and mobility and the carbon emissions is part of these factors that are really affecting the climate change. This is why we think that the role of the cities is fundamental and that is necessary to discuss how the cities, municipalities in the case of Portugal, can cooperate and learn from each other to accelerate this path against the craziness that is now ruling the world against the idea of the climate change. So this is why I am very pleased that we are discussing here with so many colleagues and so many people that are working in this issue. And I have the pleasure to introduce my colleague, John Barrymore, that is the manager of this network, UN SDSN in Ireland, and he will be moderating this whole session. And so I hope you enjoyed the session. We have very good presentations from other colleagues. And so I hope that you will enjoy this webinar and that this will be the beginning of a bigger discussion that I think we need to do. We cannot leave this world to go destroyed by some illnesses or ill minds. So thank you very much. And John, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Maria João, and it's a pleasure to be here today and to be moderating this panel of distinguished colleagues. And I myself am in Ireland, based in University College Cork, and as Maria João said, I'm the manager of SDSN Ireland here, and I'm also, and I don't say this flippantly, but I'm a early stage climate migrant from Miami, Florida, where there's already many, because it's considered one of the front lines of climate change, there's already many issues that have become apparent. And I would just like to say a couple of quick things to frame the discussion today. And this goes back to 2019, when UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that cities are where the climate battle will largely be won or lost. So this conversation around European cities is very important. And also the UN Environmental Program and the Climate Change Office both say that about 70% of global CO2 emissions are from cities. So this is, again, why cities are an important focus point of the conversation today. So at this point, I would just like to one at a time introduce the colleagues who are going to speak each for 10 minutes, and I've been told I need to keep them to that time. And then we're going to have question and answer at the end and discussion, and hopefully it's a lively discussion. And so and you can also enter your questions in the chat stream as well. So, and that will be monitored. Okay, so the first panelist is Isabel Loredo, who is the General Coordinator for Sustainable Development in Guimarães 2030. And she is also an invited assistant professor at the Universidade do Minho. And Isabel holds a doctorate in industrial and systems engineering, and she is also an EU expert in the field of climate change. Isabel, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I will start to share my presentation. Okay. I think that you are seeing it now. Yes?
Yeah, yes.
Sean, thank you. So first of all, I want to acknowledge Maria João and John for the invitation and the whole team that made this webinar possible, and thank you for joining us also. Well, I come from Guimarães. Well, you have to pronounce the city, you have to have a big smile in your face. It's not easy, but once you have that smile in your face, then you can see say the name of my city. It's Guimarães. It's the first city of Portugal. It's well known as the birthplace of Portugal. I just want to say that we are a medium-sized city. Well, I have a cluster of small and medium-sized cities. Actually, if you look to the Portuguese cities, we are a medium city. But if you look to the all European cities, maybe you will cluster us on the small-sized city. And the question is why small and medium-sized cities are so important for sustainability and for climate, because most of the cities in Europe are small, medium-sized cities. So if each of these cities can do something, can change something, or can transform something, then this will make a huge difference for Europe and, of course, for the world. I would like to focus my brief presentation on two things. The first one is leadership. So in order to implement a program for sustainable development or for climate transition, you need to have a strong leadership. And the second thing that I want to focus on is on political consensus, because sometimes you have a vision that overpasses the political cycle, and you need to have a political consensus. So I will focus my 8 minutes presentation on these two things. So regarding the shared vision, at Guimarães, we didn't establish a vision 10 years ago. We established a shared vision. And establishing vision and establishing a shared vision is completely different, because in order to establish a shared vision, you need to start to put everyone on board in order to understand what really people want for the future. And this is the difference between vision and shared vision. And in our case, we want to create, to build bridges connecting citizens with nature, and we want to have a city where you can live, but you also can age happy and healthy. It's not only about living in the city, it's also about aging in the city. So with this in mind, we want to be a one planet city. And please be aware, we want to be a one planet city by 2050. So we know that we have a long journey till 2050, but a vision, when you are going to establish a vision, it's a long-term vision. It's not anything that you can do in 2 years or 3 years. And in order to become one planet city, we need everyone to change behaviors. And this is why we are very committed as a city with education also, to transform and empower citizens so they can really help us to implement the program that we establish. Besides the shared vision, you need to have objectives. And we started to look to this long journey, and we decided that 2030 should be our target. You cannot establish a plan if you don't have medium target objectives. So we started to look what we could do in order to fulfill those objectives. Obviously, the Sustainable Development Goals are very important for us, and the municipal budget is analyzed in terms of impact in each of the Sustainable Development Goals. The Green City Accord it's a very important accord that we also committed with, because you have 5 areas in which you have to establish interim targets and targets for 2030. So you know exactly in 2030 and 2026, in our case, what you should have as air quality, as noise, as mobility, as nature and biodiversity, and so on. And in 2022, the city also embraced this big mission, the climate neutrality mission, and we become one of the mission labeled cities, not only mission labeled, but twinning city, and we are learning and teaching our twinning city how to become neutral. And also we were selected as a pilot city in the first cohort. So we have now in our historical UNESCO Heritage Center an entire area where we are implementing more than 200 actions, so that area can be climate neutral this year. So this is very important, that you understand when you have a city context that you can establish a context where you want to work, where you want to test, and then with the learning process, you can replicate everything that you learn as a positive in that context. We also, in these 10 years, have established a climate integrated management. All our plans are related. So when we are talking about our CCAP 2030, that is related to energy and climate change, we are also analyzing our CCAP in terms of food management plan, in terms of air quality improvement strategy, in terms of forest fire defense plan. So in this year, 10 years of climate journey, since we started in 2013, we established this climate integrated management. Another thing is that all our plans, all our strategies, all our actions are based on a 3D approach. So if you want to build the future, you need to transform the landscape. And to do that, you need to create identity, meaning that you have to create those bridges that I present you before. So you need to connect people and citizens with the challenge that you want to address. You need to create on the citizen a sense of belong of the challenge that you want to address. And once you do that, then you can implement the project, and then you are absolutely sure that they will preserve what you have just implemented. So creating identity is a key factor that we developed for these past 10 years, creating identity and the sense of belong with between citizens and the challenge that we want to address. So I'm now finishing my presentation. Just why did we do this at Guimarães? Why do we have nowadays a climate integrated management, a 3D approach, a shared vision, and why did we did that? First of all, because in 2013, a new mayor was elected, and he was very focused on environment and climate. Guimarães is an industrial city, very polluted at that time, and he wanted to bring environment and climate change to the political agenda, even though he was very aware that this was not consensual. So with his strong leadership, he implemented all this program in 10 years, and now we have the situation that I presented you before. And the second key topic, and I am finishing, is about consensus. Once you have a shared vision, you know that this political cycle will have an end, but you need to have a political consensus so that shared vision and that climate integrated management can stand for many and many years. And our mayor was able to establish this political consensus in 2013 17, 16, 2, 3 years after he was elected, and everything that we still do 10 years after have the political consensus in mind. So I have two more slides, but I will leave it for another presentation. I think that I fulfill my time.
Yes. Thank you very much, Isabel, for keeping the time. We do appreciate that. And I think, I'm just, amazed by that ability to have such cooperation, within governments and across parties. So that is an amazing accomplishment. It needs to be, we need to see more of this. And I think also this integrative approach, and this is the spirit of the SDGs, which also Maria João was getting at earlier, that they are all interconnected and we can't look at it in a reductionist way. We need to think holistically. So I can't wait to hear more of this when we get into the discussion. To keep things moving along here, I'd like to introduce Diogo Fernandez Gonzalez, and trying to say this with a smile too, so I can get the Portuguese accent a little better. But he's been working with a platform called AYR, which he's going to be sharing with us. But it's he works at SAIA, which is down in Porto, and he's the manager of the Mobility and Center for Engineering and Product Development, and he also holds a master's degree in biomedical engineering, so a very interesting background there. So I now turn the floor over to Diogo, and I'm excited to hear what you have to share.
Okay, thanks, John. Let me share my screen as well, so just a minute. So you can see my screen? Yes? Okay. So first of all, good afternoon to you all. It is a great pleasure to be here in this webinar, and I would like to thanks to Maria, Joe, and to the team that make this possible. My name is Diogo Gonçalves, and I work as a delivery manager in SAIA, a leading Portuguese innovation center. I am here today to talk about our sustainability platform and share with you some real examples of our projects. Just a brief introduction about us. So SAIA are a Portuguese engineering and product development center that conceives, develops and productizes new technologies, products and services towards a more sustainable society. We are one of the highest R&D investors in Portugal, and we work together with cities, industries, and universities in high-tech sectors such as automotive, mobility, aeronautics, ocean, and space. At SAIA, we are committed to developing cutting-edge technologies and solutions that address global challenges. Today, I'm excited to share with you some information about our work and in detail about our AIR platform, which is revolutionizing the way we think about urban sustainability. So, as we all know, the challenge of reducing the global carbon emissions is more urgent than ever. We have less than 5 years to slash 45% of the world carbon emissions if we want to meet the Paris Agreement targets and achieve carbon neutral cities by 2030. And at SAIA, we start to think, how do we get there? And we are deeply committed to this sustainability cause and issue. And we develop and we create our AIR platform as a tool that can help cities around the world to reduce their carbon footprint. So, what is AIR? AIR is a platform that can help cities accelerate their decarbonization efforts and needs. And how do we do it? By quantifying and valuing the avoided CO2 emissions by the choice of sustainable mobility transport options. And why mobility? Because nowadays this sector, the mobility sector, represents more than 20% of the global carbon emissions around the world. Our platform has a fast and scalable deploy, and also presents the factor that can even helps initiatives or projects that are already happening in the city or in a company. So, and how does our platform work? So, as I mentioned, our platform quantify and values the CO2 emissions avoided by people who make sustainable mobility choices. And this is the groundbreaking concept at the heart of our solution, of our platform, is the valuing emissions that are not emitted. Our platform is built on blockchain technology, which we use to record and register all the CO2 savings in real time. Each sustainable travel choice generates a value in the forms of tokens, which are then deposited into the user's wallet. So as we can see in this image, is an illustrative one, but users can record their sessions through our mobile app with the various mobility options available in each city, from public transport to micromobility operators such as bicycles or electric scooters. We promote a mobility ecosystem integration. So our platform can be integrated with all the mobility ecosystem available in a city. So bike sharing services, bus and train operators, car sharing services, EV charging systems, and so on. Our platform enables the user to reduce his city mobility emissions and create value from that reduction, no matter what means of transportation it's used. Our approach, I would like to think that our approach with HARE not only encourage users or encourage sustainable mobility, but also makes it easier for citizens to participate in reducing carbon emissions by choosing public or green transports over private vehicles instead of their private vehicles. So our platform defends a holistic approach and uses behavioral insights to nudge users to adopt more sustainable travel choices. It has a real-world applicability and ensure that our users act in a climate-positive way. One thing that we know that the current efforts are not enough. If we want to meet the 2030 target agreements, a behavior change is a key factor that we must, as a society, do. So, here, our platform enables you, a user, to transact your avoided emissions. So the generated tokens, avoided emission generate a token, and those tokens can act as a local currency and can have a real value on that local context. I will give you some examples in a minute of our projects and some instantiations in Portugal and in Brazil as well. But this is an idea that I would like you to retain our platform as an enabler to create local carbon markets. In summary, to summarize, so we promote a circular ecosystem based on 4 verticals: quantification, valuing the carbon emissions, give rise to tokens. There are different tokens, but we can leave that for the questions if you want. Then the user can exchange the tokens for green goods and services, or they can use the tokens to offset the carbon emissions. But above all, AIR is a concept that adapts to different realities and contexts, always promoting sustainability and decarbonization. Sorry, I went backwards. Okay, so now I would like to tell you about one of our cities and use case. This is the Movi Itajaí use case in Santa Catarina state in the south of Brazil. This city has around 300K citizens. So in the end of 2021, the municipality spoke to us with the aim of promoting sustainability in Itajaí through the use of the public transport and smooth mobility, and consequently reduce the use of the personal vehicles when traveling to and within the city. Based on the city's goal, we prepared a mobility as a service mobile app, what we call a MaaS mobile app. This is the layout of the mobile app. On the home page, our users can see the balance of their wallet, which reflects the emissions they've avoided through their sustainable travels and choices. The app offers a variety of features, including the ability to record new activities and even explore or allow users to explore the mobility map of their city, as we can see in the left image on this screen. So on this map, the users have access to information about bus stops and lines, information about the micromobility operators' availability, and cycle paths, cycle lanes, all the information that the city has about mobility. So in the initial phase of the project, we launch the option for users to exchange the tokens for single bus tickets. We start only with one line to make a proof of concept, and after successfully providing the concept, and the city can see that the users are really exchanging their tokens per ticket, we expanded this initiative to include all public transportation lines across the city. Last year, in the beginning of 2024, we launched the marketplace that allows users to transact and exchange their tokens for different services and bonus with our partners. So we have Sol Itajaí, that is a bus operator partner that allow users to exchange for single fares, daily, weekly, or monthly pass, and the micromobility operators Jet and Adventure that allow users to exchange the tokens per unlock and usage fees. We also prepare a back office to be used for the municipality with aggregated city data. In addition to the aggregated data, we have some insights into the use of the mobile app, and it's also possible to identify citizens' mobility patterns. For example, in the Itajaí city, the public transport operators concession was renewed at the end of 2023, and the city used our data to redefine some of the bus lines. Here are some examples of information, so real-time information and climate intelligent insights as well. And just to finish, I would like to present real quick our Air Student project. At the beginning of 2024, we started this project. This is a project here in Portugal with 16 different schools in 4 municipalities, Porto, Matosinhos, Braga, and Guimarães. We have two main objectives. So the reduction of the carbon footprint in the commuting movements of the school community by promoting the adoption of sustainable mobility behaviors, and to raise sustainability awareness in our youth communities who are our future. As an instrument, we develop and we use the Air Student app that allow users to quantify and to record their sessions. So this is the Air Student app version, more colored, more bold, more youth. So here the users can record their sessions to check their balance, check their history, and also we promote a gamification approach in the app that allow users and students to compare themselves with their classmates or even with different schools. These are some global numbers of the project, so more than 400 students involved, around 30K sessions, valid sessions recorded, and almost a ton of CO2 avoided. So I think I reached the time limit,
Yes,
so
yeah.
I will pass through this and thank you all for your attention.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much, Diogo, and can't wait to hear more about this. I just have to wonder. My bike just clocked in 5,000 kilometers this week, so I wish I knew how much carbon that saved. So it sounds like your platform would be very helpful for answering these types of questions. Um, So our last speaker right now is Antonio Garcia Celda from Valencia City Council, and he's also the director of the EU Green Capital City of Valencia. So I think this is interesting that we have, the two green capitals here with us today. So hopefully that becomes part of the discussion as well, a sharing of information. And Antonio also holds a master's in information services in society. So Antonio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the coordination, and to Maria and to Ursula, thanks for the possibility to be here, sharing the experience, the Valencia case of the last year as a European Green Capital. Thanks to the audience for giving this possibility to be here. I have to say thanks to Isabel and to Diego to put the focus in the context that we have in the European Union and the consensus that we have to try to achieve this green commitment, no? The Green City Accord, all the things that are related with the sustainability. I'm going to put the presentation and give it 1 minute to share. I think now you are seeing the presentation. I'm going to put it well. Okay. Can you see it? Okay, perfect.
Yes, good.
Well, I want to put the focus mainly in the context related with the mobility. As Diego has said, is maybe not the most important, but is the maybe the biggest effort that we have to do in the cities to try to achieve the balance emissions that as a city we want to achieve in European Union in 2050, but some cities we wanted to do it in 2030. But previously to work about the milestones that as a European Green Capital we have done, I want to say why Valencia is a green capital city and to talk about our context. Well, first of all, I'm going to start with a video that I think can represent well what is Valencia and what kind of things we wanted to achieve with our European Green Capital.
Not hearing any sound. Is there supposed to be sound with the video?
Well, this is the green Valencia, the things that we wanted to express as a city, because we are surrounding for different kind of things that we think that are the green, or related with the green, and define well our city. And the work that we had to do to be more greener, because Valencia has been green, is green, and we want to be more greener. We divided in different axes, concretely in 4 axes. And it's important as today, if we want to speak about mobility, we have to connect the mobility not only with public space and mobility, if not too with the green infrastructure and the urban biodiversity, because these things can do that the people wanted to move to see, to enjoy these green spaces. Then the context that we want to express today is related with this, but we have to put in contact with other of the other 3 axes that we have worked as a Valencia city. In our case, as a city, we have more than, well, in the beginning of 2024, we have more than 7.5 square meters per habitant. But at the end of the year, we have achieved more than 8.6. This is very important because all the citizens of Valencia have close to their home, at less than 300 meters, a green area adapted to live there, to enjoy, to see the best place to enjoy the city, not only to live, if not to enjoy in the city. Then this is extraordinary green heritage that as a city we have. In addition, in the beginning, we wanted to speak about the city, not only as a city, if not, we wanted to express other kind of city. We wanted to achieve more public spaces for the citizens, and we start to talk about the city of squares and public spaces for them. In our case, in the last year, we have recovered, we have win more than 300,000 square meters free of traffic for the citizens. And we have to say that the movements of the citizens of Valencia usually, well, not usually, but more than the 52% of the trips are made by walking. This is a very important thing, because all the citizens can see that they can cross the city using public transport, private transport too, but walking too. And walk is the best form to see and to enjoy the city. And we knew it previously, and we have to promote during the last year, and of course the next years too, this form to move in the city, because it's a form to enjoy these previous axis that I've said, that is the green spaces that we have here in the city. And of course, we are a mission city. Then previously, to be a European green capital, we had a green commitment with the EU Commission, but with other cities that we wanted to achieve the balanced city, not in 2050, if not, as I said previously, in 2030. For that, we wanted to do a good work to try to be a better Valencia city, but of course to try to help others and to try to inspire cities in this travel or this trip of the sustainability. During this last year, I want to share some of the actions, some of the implementations that we have done in the city, but as I said, connected with the mobility. And in our case, as I said, the green zones and the green area of Valencia is one of the things that we have seen that the citizens or that produce movements in the citizens. For that reason, we have built for new parks. We have planted more than 2,000 trees. We have different regeneration projects or planting a lot of trees, recover burns areas in the Albufera, that is the second biggest lake in Spain. We have created more than 95,000 square meters of green areas, not only the 4 new parks, if not adding new spaces. And I think this is one of the things that represent our commitment with the green in the cities, because we want to create a better city, and we believe that the best cities are the cities that have more green in their streets. Relating with these green spaces, we have to connect, as I said, with the mobility, because, as I said, the citizens wanted to go there. And for that reason, not only to go to work, to enjoy the city, we have seen that we have a very good bike lanes in the city, but we wanted to improve to achieve more kilometers in our city. And now in this moment, we have more than 220 kilometers of bike lanes. And we have done 58 kilometers of cycle street, or increase a lot this kind of spaces to move for the city. I think it's very important, this kind of achievement that we have done, or for example, to create the first cycling neighborhood in the, well, almost in the city center in 4 or 5 months ago. And of course, we have done other actions related with the transport city and the public transport in the city. For example, I put here 4, but we have more than we can talk after. But for example, for us, it's very important to try to put in the city new buses that are electric or hybrid buses. In our case, we want to have in 2028 all the float of the buses converted in electric. This is our inversion where we are investing more than 172 millions. And in this 24, we have put in the city 26 electric buses and 31 hybrid buses, but articulated, the biggest one that we have. We have put, this is very important, we have put more lines in the city center, and we have speak with the citizens, and they wanted that we connect the neighborhoods with the city and between all the neighborhoods. For that reason, we have created new lines, and not only for the new districts, if not to try to put closer stops in the older neighborhoods. I think this is very important thing, because the people want to walk in the city, and if they can't do it because they are far away, they prefer to use the public transport, but they need the tools to try to do it easily. For that reason, talking with them during all the year, of course, we are trying to do it continuously, but they say to us that we have to put closer stops and to try to distribute the lines in different with different form. And for that reason, we have invested more than 12 millions into try to adapt the system and to manage with a new tool. And I think this is very important, because now we have information in real time to try to do it. And the result of all this process is that the IMT, the municipal transport company, now have the best data, the best results in the last years. And I think this is a good achievement that we have done as a European Green Capital. Now we have more or less a good situation, but during this last year, we have improved it a lot.
So Antonio, I'm sorry, I have to ask you to bring it to conclusion here.
Yeah. Well, we have created a lot of things, recharging point, more than 100. We have created green routes for the people that come to the city to see the catalog of good practices for the tourist guides, putting sensors to add to the network of the city more information. And I want to only to close with words of my major, that is that we have to have the best city, and of course after suffer the data, to try to protect and prepare and adapt our city. The mobility is very important, especially in these days, because we have seen that the metropolitan area depends about the big city, and Valencia have seen that with the mobility we can solve not only the problems of the city, if not of all the cities that are close to us. This is all. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Antonio. And it is a model city, and I do hope someday I get to visit Valencia, because it does look a beautiful place from that video. So I think now we have some time where I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask the panelists, and then we'll open it up to the floor. I just see one thing I want to ask real quick, and it would go back to the air model. Does it include walking? It was just a sort of a quick question somebody was asking. They didn't see it, and they were just curious there, Diogo.
Okay. If it includes
walking, yeah.
Yes, it can include, yes.
Okay. So the first question I actually have is for Isabel, and it's a two-part question, and it's amazing what's been done with the political process there. And I know I'm going to say it wrong, but I'll say it with a smile. And Guimarães is how do you bring the science and the political decision processes together? Some people call this bridging the research policy gap. So how do we, get the scientists and the politician, talking much better, so it's so it is research informed policy. And I guess what kind of goes with that is also that long-term vision. I mean, that's an amazing accomplishment, but how did that fit in? And was it because of bringing, having research informed policy? Was that part of what made that possible?
Okay, thank you, and also of my colleagues for the wonderful presentations. Well, I think first of all that science. I think that in 2013, well, after the mayor was elected, I'm not politician, so don't worry, I will not defend any political party. This is just because I have 10 years of experience working as general coordinator, and I can see the benefits of bringing science into the process, mainly to the political decision, but not only. Well, after his election, well, he decided to create this center, which John, you have been there, and Maria João, the Landscape Laboratory. And the Landscape Laboratory was founded by the municipality together with two universities of the North region of Portugal. And we started with two researchers in the Landscape Laboratory, and with a small budget. And well, the purpose of this was to started to research and made field research on several contexts, such as, for example, our rivers. Our rivers are very polluted, but we needed to monitoring, and we needed to realize how could we improve the situation of the rivers, because, as I told you before, we are a very industrialized city that uses the water not only as an energy resource, but also to discharge lots of things from the industry. So if we put our focus on the rivers, I will say that this center was created in the beginning to start to research what was the main components of the rivers, why the rivers are so polluted. And once we have that kind of data, we show it to the mayor and his team, and well, he decided we need to do something urgently. And we use data from science, not only to prove that was necessary to recover those ecosystems, but also to create communication to citizens, and to show them, okay, this is our situation, but let's take a look. Let's see how we can communicate with citizens and bring them into the process. So for 2 years, we went to the schools with the data that was with the data that was collected from rivers, fauna, flora, and other chemical and physical parameters of the water. And we went to the schools and we showed the children, okay, this is the situation of the rivers. And at that time, 10 years ago, they were very disconnected with the rivers. The citizens were very unconnected, they were not linked. They were ashamed, I will say, some of our citizens were a little ashamed of the situation of the rivers. So once we started to create this communication with science and go to the schools and create ambassadors for this rivers situation and so on, everyone was starting to feel engaged with the process. And the mayor saw that the citizens wanted to be more closer to the rivers, and the situation of the rivers became better and better. And then the landscape laboratory with the team of the municipality, the technicians, we showed the mayor that there was a possibility to create a linear park with 61 kilometers of paths near the rivers. And with his leadership, of course, we started to build this project in a technical and scientific way, and people were feeling very connected. Nowadays, we have 10% of these lines already ready, and citizens are enjoying very much. They came to the rivers and they see that there was a recovery on that. So by saying this, we can use science in several ways, not only to support the political decision and to reinforce the political decision, but also to create a communication with citizens, simplify the data and communicate with citizens and bring them on board and make them also scientists. I think that we were very clever here by doing so, and that's why I think that this 10 years journey was a learning process. But I think that this is the major result that I want to show you, that science can be used in several ways. Don't use science just a laboratory thing, you know. I don't know if you want me to add something.
No, I think that's very interesting, because I know that some people feel the data, it's too much for them, and but it almost seems that it's the way you probably presented the data and made the data accessible to people, because it's interesting, because you motivated people, and that seems to be the big issue. We heard talk about behavioral change earlier, but you created behavioral change in the citizens in the schools.
For 2 years, in regards to rivers, for the 2 first years that we were looking to the rivers, we had 600 ambassadors, young ambassadors, that were working with us on the rivers and were looking to data, and they would just realize how powerful can be nature, even in rivers, and the benefits of depollute the rivers. So I think that this is the best that you can have from science.
Yeah, and you empowered people, I think is what you said, and that's what really came through to me, and that is an important motivator when people are empowered. So I'd like to now turn attention to Diogo in the AIR platform, and I guess what I'm wondering is, what are the challenges? If my city here wants to use the AIR platform, what are the main challenges of using the AIR platform, not only from, say, the city who's going to be adopting it, but also from your side and the technical side?
Right.
And I guess also, is how do you engage all the stakeholders, so that you're not leaving people behind? And again, this is going to be, being inclusive, in the process.
Yes. Okay, so let me try to. Okay, so I think regarding the main challenge when implementing our solution in a new city, for example, in Cork, John, I think one of the biggest challenge we face when entering a new city is building a strong local collaboration network. So our platform is not a plug-in and a plug-and-play solution, let's call it that way. The real value that our platform can add to each city relies on the active engagement of local stakeholders, from policymakers, from the citizen mayor, or to schools, companies, and mobility operators. There is often a natural resistance to change, especially when it involves integrating data from different sources or adopting new ways to involve citizens in topics like carbon emissions and sustainable mobility. But our approach is to adapt the solution to the specific context of each city, ensuring a step-by-step implementation supported by training, co-creation, and a clear communication with all the stakeholders involved. So I think it's this proximity work that helps turn challenges into real opportunities that make a real impact. Regarding the second question, so the active engage different city stakeholders. So I think we are used, all of us are used to think as a city of a monolithic entity. But with our platform, we promote a more participatory and decentralized vision. So we engage all the city stakeholders, from schools through initiatives like Air Student or Mobilidade Urbana Consciente in Itajaí that we have. We try to empower teachers and students as truly agents of change. In municipalities also has institutional representatives, and companies and mobility partners who can all add value and contribute to the development of the local voluntary carbon market. So we think, in our opinion, this active participation from all is essential to building a truly sustainable future.
No, that's really fascinating. And when you mentioned the school, so is it become part of curriculum anywhere where it's where the teachers are actually using this somehow in the classroom for activities and assignments?
Yes, we promote in our project here in Portugal. We go to the schools to make the presentation of the project to each school, to the students. And this type of project were included in curricular activities, yes, in a class of, I think, so how could it, biology. So I think we went in the biology class in the students, others in, I think in biology, but yes, John. Citizenship, yes, Isabel. Thank you. Citizenship classes, yes.
Oh, that is excellent, and that's an area that's very important to me, And so I have a couple of questions now for Antonio, and then after that we'll go ahead and open it up to the floor. So start thinking about your questions. And it's really around the mobility piece, because that seems to be a big part of your presentation. And so I'm wondering about, kind of the greatest challenges that Valencia faced kind of in the past year during the European Green Capital, with all the attention focused on the city in Valencia. And where do you take it from here? So where do you take that momentum and bring this to the Mission City project that you also mentioned it? Because all of these are roads and paths to get to positive change. And it's what I appreciate, what I see there is it wasn't just your, saying we win the award and, famous for this, but it's you're using this as an opportunity to advance the agenda, which is commendable from my perspective.
Yes, well, I'm going to start for the second. I think the thing that we have to do, and not only Valencia, if not all the cities that have been European green capitals, and for example, Guimarães that is going to be, and the next one, is that it maybe is the most difficult, but is try to change the mind of the people, and to try to relate the CO2 emissions and the waste with their actions, with the actions of the citizens. I think this is the goal, to try to change the mind, to try that the people understand that. And about about the actions that we have done, I think not the most important thing, but maybe the first step, and that is the beginning of all, is to speak with the people. In our case, we are the first Mediterranean city, and our problems are different from others. Then we have to speak a lot with the citizens, with the sectors, with the academia, to try to understand well what kind of city we want to be. Because, as I said, we were greener city, but now we are, and we want to be more. And for example, something like to try to understand that the citizens, for example, they like the tourist, but they want to enjoy the city without the disturbing of these new citizens. This is very important. And speaking with them, we have to create a decalogue of good practices for the tourist guides. For example, this is a new action that we have done. I think these kind of things are only possible if we speak with the citizens. Maybe this is not the most important action, talking about the money, about our investment, but yes, about the possibility to create new actions that we have to implement in the city.
Do the unmute here. No, I think this is very good, and I do like your choice of greener, because it's saying it's a journey. You're not just a green city, you've reached the accomplishment, but it's a continuing process to continue to be greener. And I think that is really good. And a focus on tourism is an amazing one, because, again, myself coming from Miami and knowing now how sort of carbon intensive the cruise ship industry is there, that it is a major challenge of how do we sort of create a more sustainable tourism industry. So that's a big challenge, which would...
Yes, for example, John, in our case, in the beginning of the year, we have done actions to decrease the temperature in the city. But at the end of the year, we have seen that these actions had less to us reduce the consequences of the Dana in the city. Because with that actions, it's not only to reduce the temperature, it's to try to be different zones that are dry for the flood, to try to decrease the importance of the Dana here. I think this, as you have said, this is the path of the green city, because we can use the actions to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very, very good. And I know I have many more questions I could ask, but in fairness, I do want to open it up to the floor. Is there anything already in the chat stream that Ursula,
John, there was one question, I'm not sure that was fully addressed, also to Diogo, I think, about the air platform taking into account its own carbon emissions in the calculations. I'm not sure that has been tackled. It was a question from Daniel.
Okay, so let me try to answer to that. So at this stage, our platform does not incorporate its own operational emissions, such as energy consumption or infrastructure related emissions, into the user-facing carbon calculations. Okay, into that specific situation, we do not incorporate that. But that said, sustainability is a core principle that guides our technical implementation choices as well, from selecting efficient infrastructure to optimizing data usage, while our current focus is on calculating avoided CO2 emissions through behavior change. Example, the shifting from private to public transport. We are actively exploring ways to transparently account for our own emissions footprint as the platform evolves. do you think, I think I answered the question. Maybe if it's necessary, I can explain a little bit more. I don't know.
I think we need to ask Daniel if that responds to Daniel Carr. Is he still
Are you still here?
online?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I hear you,
Yes.
Daniel.
Hi. Yeah, no, I was just thinking in terms of scope 3 emissions, particularly. I think that'll be a consideration for cities going forward. EU emission cities is currently focused on scope 1 and 2 up to 2030, but beyond that, scope 3 emissions will become part of the rubric, I suppose, in terms of going, this going forward. So I guess it was just, at least as an idea in my head anyway. Currently here in our university, we had a digital decluttering day, trying to free up space on our servers, and that's just becoming a area of interest for us. So it just came into my head as you were presenting. But thanks for that, Diego. It's very interesting.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. So, any more questions?
There's a comment or a question from Richard Tufts about EU strategy shifting to competitiveness. There's a big discussion about that in talking about the next program period. The funding will be how then cities can link climate and competitiveness into one strategy. I don't know if any of the speakers have any comments or suggestions on that.
Well, in our case, in the case of Valencia, sorry, Isabel, I've seen it now.
No,
In our
okay.
case, as a lighthouse of Europe last year, of course, we had the responsibility to be the lighthouse of the region too. For that reason, we had to connect not only the green actions, if not to try to with the city, if not to try to connect these actions with the industrial areas in the region. I think one led to the others increase, and vice versa too. Then it's very important to try to develop together. It's not easy because you have to argue a lot, and but I think this is a healthy work that you have to do in the region to try to do a mix, to try to develop better to try to obtain the triple impact: social, economical, but thinking in the environment too. And as I say, it's not easy, but we have the responsibility to do it. And I think it's something that, of course, as a city, we have done and we are doing it, but we have to do it all together, not only the European green capitals, all the regions.
I think Isabel also was going to say something earlier.
Yes. Just to add something to what Antonio was saying, at Guimarães, after we come to the mission city for climate neutrality, we started to measure where the emissions came from, and actually almost 90% of the emissions come out of the municipal activity, of course, and the major sector that contributes to it is in industry. So in 2022, we launched the Climate City Pact in order to bring the private sector, mainly industry, on board. So we have these capacity building sessions with them. We facilitate the access with, for example, the European Investment Bank and so on for fundings, and we are working very close with the industrial sector, and also the landscape laboratory started to measure the carbon footprint, mainly of SME companies, because the big companies, they have resources to do lots of things, including reporting, and it's mandatory to report the emissions to EU. But small, medium-sized companies, they don't have sometimes the resources, the human resources and the knowledge to create their action plans and reports on carbon footprint. So we are also helping them to do that. And with that, I think that we are creating a green a private sector, a more green private sector, which is very competitive. And I realized that, let me just add another thing to Antonio, what he was saying, that being green capital is also putting Guimarães on the spotlight, as well as I believe that Valencia was also on the spotlight for investors, because investors, they want green cities to come to and to create their business and have their families, years, and so on and so on. So when you have a foreign company that comes to your city, then you need to have an international school for the kids. Then you need to have lots of things. No, it's not only about the company, but the whole concept of an international company that is coming to your city. So this is why it's very good to have this holistic approach like we are doing at Guimarães, and we are learning a lot with Valencia, which is an amazing city, because we also have the networking of capitals, European green capitals, and Valencia is nowadays leading this networking. And the main focus of this networking is also to share experience between capitals and cities like Guimarães that are planning how to be a capital next year. We are a city, but we are going to be a capital, by the way.
No, and that must be an exciting time there. We've got a little over 10 minutes left, and I see a couple more questions. So Colin Sage, you have a question you'd like to share?
I do, yes. Hello, John, and hello, everyone. And thank you very much for the presentations, which were excellent. I don't want to provide a kind of a sobering note here, but I feel in the sense of whilst particularly the representatives from municipalities are speaking about green cities, there is a sense in which there's a branding effort going on here in terms of the promotion of the city. And I'm just concerned about, given the underlying discussion has been addressing engagement by local citizens, you know, what mechanisms of engagement. And often I think when you're speaking at the level of the municipalities, it's about how do you reach down to engage people, you know, to empower them. And you can't empower people. That doesn't really happen. You have to facilitate people's engagement themselves. And that's through their own organizations. And I'm just interested that in Viana do Castelo, where I live, there's a response by bicycle users, for example, to the proposal for a new transport policy in the city. And you need to facilitate the engagement of those kinds of groups, you know, people who are accustomed to using bicycles, who want to have a say about transport policy. And that is likely to say, you know, the kind of things that you've been doing in Valencia about traffic calming, about putting in speed limits and so on. And it's not just sufficient to create little green islands, although those are important. But how can we create a more holistic, more coherent policy which actually reduces the amount of cars in cities? I mean, we should note, of course, that now one of the highest problems of lung cancer, of deaths from lung cancer, are amongst people who have never smoked tobacco in their lives. And that's because of air pollution, and that air pollution is derived from vehicle emissions on the whole. You know, there are industrial emissions as well. And the other thing I would just quickly say is that the experience that we had in Cork, where I used to live before, where John is based, is with food. And the development of building endogenous food policy councils is also something that's been very, very successful in many cities across Europe. And if you can find ways, well, this needs to come from the ground up, but then to engage with municipalities around things like food, which is genuinely quite empowering, that people begin to start to utilize land that can be used for growing and supporting. You can reach into schools and do all sorts of things around food in schools. So finding ways in which you can enable people to take initiatives on their own behalf and I think finding ways in which the municipality can incentivize through measures, ambitious measures like traffic calming and other kinds of restrictions, using planning laws and planning restrictions and so on, to begin to enable other people to be able to embark upon a more sustainable form of behavior. Thank you very much.
It's no, thank you for your question there, Colin. And I see Antonio has his hand up, but would you like to weigh in on that?
Yes, well, thanks for the question and your words, Colin. In our case, as Valencia, well, the Times, Forbes, we have, they are saying that we are the best city to live in 2023, in 2025. In their list, also the same. Well, it's very nice, but we have to show that the things that others think about us, the citizens of Valencia, have to discover too, because sometimes we want to go to other cities and they really not enjoy on to see well our city. In our case, to speak about this quality of life, about the nutrition, the sustainable nutrition that we have here in the city, because we are surrounded for orchards, this storytelling we have put in the citizens, and above all, we are telling not only for the tourist guys, that yes, with the catalog of good practices that I said previously, if not, we are putting this storytelling in the schools. Because with the kids, they can transfer these good things to their families. And now we are seeing that the citizens of Valencia are seeing with a different form the city. It's not only to enjoy for the tourists. That is very well. We want all the tourists that come to discover the good things of Valencia, but we want that the people of Valencia see that close to their homes they have a green area that is perfect to enjoy, that we have a green river, that our nutrition is from our orchards, that we have the Mediterranean Sea, and they have to use better the things to try to don't create waste, these kind of things we are trying to put in their minds of the people. And for that, the kids and the schools are perfect.
Oh, thank you. Does anybody else want to weigh in on Colin's question? Okay. So I think what I'm hearing over and over is this. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Is that Isabel?
Maria João
Yes.
wants to raise
okay.
something. I think it's on a different topic, but it's still.
Well, no, I actually I wanted to speak about some of the things that I heard here, and especially about these pacts that are taking place in some Portuguese cities like Guimarães, Braga, with the private sector, because it's important, the role of the private sector in these issues. And to call the attention that this is exactly what is in the Pact of the Future, that it was signed last year by all the countries that are in the United Nations. That is a bigger role of the private sector exactly in investing in sustainability. And this is why, because there is the idea that sustainability is extremely expensive. And so that this is why it cannot be done. But as I said before, it seems that not to invest in sustainability really does not bring competitiveness. On the opposite. So it's more expensive because what comes out of this lack of investment in sustainability, in climate change, for instance, in health and so on, this is more expensive than to do these investments. And this is why, for instance, now from the 30th of June until 3rd of July in Sevilla, by the way, there will be a very big summit, a world summit promoted by the United Nations, exactly about financing, how to finance sustainability. And with all the countries of the world, it's really a world summit because it's something has to change. I know that the political in this moment is not in that direction, but it is important to do that. And I would like also to say that actually our SDSN in Portugal, with the SDSN of John in Ireland, and with our Spanish colleagues, and with the SDSN Europe, that has all the European networks, we are organizing a big conference in October exactly about sustainability in competitiveness. It means competitiveness and sustainability must not be conflicting. They can go hand in hand, and they can generate more jobs and better life for the people. So this is actually what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Maria João. We've got about 2 minutes left, and I just like to say that the themes that I keep hearing over and over today were about human behavior, and really how do we get people to motivate it to want to change, because it was said change is difficult for many people, and it's always easier to do the same thing. So I think we did hear some good examples on that. I think there's still more work that needs to be done of how to really motivate people. And the other one is what Maria João just brings out is that it really comes down to priorities of national governments and the international community and business, where the resources are there to make transition and adjust transition, but it's a matter of allocating them and not in Ireland is right now the thought is it's going to take about 25 billion to decarbonize, but the fines are going to be about 25 billion in 2030. So it's almost like they're setting up just to pay the fines where they could be spending that money. So again, it comes down to priorities. And we have, like, in this last 2 minutes, I don't know if anybody in the panel just has a quick 30-second, little thing you'd like to say, a little take-home message, which you'd like people to remember.
Yes, can I start?
Yes, please.
So I just want to say that, well, we have a huge mission in our cities to make them more sustainable, climate neutral, and so on, and fair, and so on. But I think that, well, I believe that you need to be passionate about this mission, because if you don't have passion, if you are not a believer, then you are not going to make it. I'm sorry. So this is my message. And for example, I know Antonio because we have met a few years ago in Valencia, because the capital and so on. And I think that he is a very passionate person about the mission that Valencia has. And we need more people with that believes that this is the way, and that put the heart and a big smile and continues, because this is a very, very hard journey.
Oh,
This
is
is my
very
message.
true. And the smile, that was so important earlier. And Antonio or Diogo, any last little parting thought you'd like to leave with people?
Yes, in my case, I can add to what Isabel just said. Yes, I think it's important to really make this behavior change as a society, as a citizen, as a city. And all of us have to be actively involved in this sustainability transition. So I think that's the idea that I would like to finish with.
Thank you, Diogo. And Antonio.
Well, in my case, welcome to Discover Valencia, a green city that wants to be even greener. And the welcome and grateful to try to do it together, because I think that all of us, we are learn and improve it together. And thanks for that, because it's a path that we have to run or to walk together, as I said.
Okay, well, thank you. Many thanks to our presenters today, and many thanks to the organizers for this as well, and for those of you who stayed here till the end. So I hope it was informative, and I wish everybody a good day and a good evening.
Yes, many thanks, John. I just want to jump in very quickly with saying we said this is one of a series of events, and we haven't finished the series, and there's at least one webinar still coming up before the summer. Probably end of May 28th, we're trying to keep it on Wednesday afternoons. And we want this to be the continuation of the discussion about the next programming period of EU funding and the new architecture. and the place for local development in all that. And that links up with the discussion on the competitiveness, because there's a lot of discussion about how to combine cohesion and competitiveness, how to give more scope to the local actors and encourage participation while streamlining the funds delivery and so on. So we will have another discussion on this hopefully fascinating topic. Look up for our website, and you will be kept in the loop, of course. And thank you very much, all of you, for your great contributions.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank you all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.